Oh, thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this, there is a knowledge seekers of the Keshe Foundation Specific Institute. We are back here to learn more about ourselves than anything else, where we came from, where we are going to, and what's happened to us while we are here. In the past few months and past recent time, I've been pondering on why mankind has a problem to understand the plasma technology. What is the mindset that has brought this about, and how man cannot see the what I call beyond the horizon of his life, of life and living. In a way, the biggest problem for man, as I've said many times, man is known in the space as a four-wheelers, as a wheeler nation. We are used to cartwheels, we are used to wheel of the cars, and we have seen and observed that as to be a process of emotion where we gain direction, and we can go in that way. Unless we turn the wheel a little bit to the left or the right, we change direction. And making what I call a circle on top of the wheel of the circle, what we call our technologies, be it the car, be it the cart, be it the wheel itself, we can't do much different. And this is where the difference between the mankind and the rest of the universal community comes, and changing this four-wheeler, thinking about the wheel, to become the what we call the universal passengers, or people who understand the work of universe, where it works on their sphere. To change a man to think in a spherical shape, a spherical dimension, being able to move on a ball than on a wheel, is the biggest problem for man to understand this new chapter in the knowledge of the man. How long will it take us to change the understanding of the man from a wheeler to a sphere? It will be the time needed for man to mature. Those who can think as a sphere, then they can see the path to what I call direction of universal life. Even those of you who sit or think or see a ball, a light in the phases of a teaching or the test we do, you always see it, most of you see it as a light in front of you, as a shining light. But you never see it, or some of you don't see it, as a rotating sphere. You see a wheel rotating on its axis, but you can't see the light to be rotating on its axis in a spherical shape. How long will it take me and the rest of the what I call knowledgeable people to change man from three-dimensional of the one direction, the sphere, to three-dimensional rotation in a what I call life, from the rotational direction of the wheel? That's the Hercules job. This is why most of you as knowledge seekers, and most of those who come in touch with this technology of the creation, have a problem. You are able to stop a wheel with a brake, with whatever, but you cannot stop a sphere from rotating as a plasma. And If you speak to the man of the universe, understanding is, they laugh at the whole condition, situation, and the dilemma that the man has got himself into. We are puzzled when we see rotating firework in what we call circle in the Chinese firework, how the light flashes and what it goes. But if we change it that it goes in another direction, we are in a big dilemma. But in fact, an sphere is that spherical shape of that firework. We see the firework coming from one end of the wheel to the other and rotates. Now you have this firework in every direction on the sphere of what I call a plasma, what you see as a light. How long will it take me to get you to see the rays coming from a sphere and not from what I call a wheeled circular shape? That is the time will take for man to mature. In a way, if you look at it, man is two-dimensional in thinking, understanding, and the structure of the work of his own soul, where he has to become three-dimensional in a spherical shape. We look in how this sphere, this creation of light, this creation of life could be rotating as a ball and emits light. The biggest problem we have, even we look at the sun, which is another what I call soul, from Earth, we primarily see it in a flat two-dimensional. That's why we cannot change our mind. The mindset, the understanding to look at the ball, at the sphere, is three-dimensional. Because of our vision, we see it more or less at two-dimension. A flat circle, we call it the sun. We don't see the sun as a sphere, as a ball. And if we do, if we can reach that point of working with a sphere of light, of energy, man will change the course of the history of himself and humanity. Changing a man from a wheeler life to a sphere life is one of the biggest challenges. Past few days in meetings with eminent scientists and some engineers and the rest, I try to understand if they see the difference, but to them, even being so called titled, this was something unimaginable. And I see them laughing. In a way, they laugh at their own lack of knowledge, of understanding about their own creation. And this is where most of you as knowledge seekers have run into a problem when we speak about the plasma, when we speak about the dimension and direction in the structure of the life of the man. Somehow, we have to bring this into vision of the man to feel the life of himself as a sphere structure and not as a two-dimensional structure when it comes to his soul. Then you can decide the direction. You decide which strength do you want the fields to come to you, or do you send the fields out in the dimension of the full structure of 360 degrees, not a flat 180. Then, if you can reach that point, then you see interaction of different fields. Then you see interaction of different, what we call a strength. Then you understand the ray which is coming from the South Pole most probably is already connected to another field of the North Pole and is not on the same side as they've drawn it and we've seen it, and then it's connected to another field of the strength with another sphere and the rest of it. Other problem which you have as knowledge seekers and is becoming more and more clear over past years is that you have learned to burn fuel, you have learned to do work to achieve the circulation of this wheel that allows you to move in one track direction. Unless you put an X on it and change it, it can change its direction. And it still needs another spherical rotation to come back to the same point. But this does not happen when it comes to the sphere shape of your soul, sphere shape of the work of the universe. And this we see especially when it comes to our scientists on the edge of their claim to knowledge, to understand whatever narrow-minded they are. The biggest problem for you knowledge seekers is to understand the straight line rotation according to the direction of the, what we call axis of the wheel, does not apply when it comes to the spherical shape of the soul of the man, the work of the universe and the rest. You cannot jump with a wheel up, because when it's in the air, does not have a, what I call, traction on the surface that it can allows it to jump forward. You have not made much difference even when you make your jet engines. Yeah. The jet engines are still another fast wheeler rotation, but a combination of passing something through it. The turbine is nothing but a flat wheeler, but with different shape of many together. And if man understand this, then you understand when it comes to the spherical shape, you do not need attraction. You don't need to be connected, because as a plasma field, you're hanging all the time in the air. You're hanging in the sphere of the field connection with the others, which they really perk you up. For a wheel to show, needs to be connected to the source. You call it an engine, you call it whatever. In the spherical shape of the plasma, you don't need that. You're hung in the middle. And to be hung in the middle, you need to have many fields that does not allow you to move in any direction but rotating where you are. If one of the fields becomes slightly weaker or one becomes slightly stronger, the whole structure has to agree with the movement and the new position and the direction. Then it comes what we call the emotion and intention. In the structure of the matter state wheel, you need engine and then a wheel to change direction, the motion. In the spherical shape soul of the man, is your intention and emotion which drives this system. By taking strength from a field or giving strength from to the field from other sources within the strength. If I could get you knowledge seekers and mankind to think in a spherical shape and understanding it, then all of you can transmute. All of you will see the balance where it is the intention and the emotion for you to gain direction, to go to come back from. As the old children's song says, the wheel of the bus goes round and round. The wheel of the universe rotates on its axis. It goes round in a circular, a spherical shape in all directions and dimensions, and not only on one direction as the wheel goes on the bus. And what mankind needs to understand is the working of the plasma. Understanding, even he walks on this planet, the soul of the man in the center of his brain is hanging on, is not attached to himself, to the physicality of the man. Then mankind will come to understand the process of life, the way man is in the universe. Attachment comes by walking this earth. Detachment comes when you're the soul within this body, which you have no physical contact with. There is no umbilical cord between the soul of the man and the brain of the man. Then you understand, partially your physical brain is containing this field, and partially the fields of the universe are hanging it in there. You're just providing close protection. The rest of it is still connected to the universe. Then this will bring a lot of new dimensions of understanding. For example, what happens when you go to another dimension, another position in the universe, and calcium does not exist? The field strength of the calcium in this environment does not exist. The field strength of the calcium in the solar system is part of its inherent structure, but not necessarily to the next solar system to us. What happened when you land there and you want to stay in the body of the man? Unfortunately, you'll be a bunch of jelly on the floor. There is no containment of the brain with the skull, there is no bone structure. And what happened when you go to a structure in the universe where calcium is the what we call the iron of this planet, it's the main backbone structure of the fields. We know this, what happened to us. We saw it with COVID-19. Calcification of the energy of the universe in the body of the man. We saw how body choked up. We saw how everything else became a bone. It's the first time we had the technology to observe the movement, the change of the fields to the matter state within the structure of the body of the man. And if you understood, you took the cup 1 or a cup 2 or whatever, you strengthened the soul, you changed the condition of the fields of the body of the man, and you said, oh, the cup 1, cup 2 save helps, because it's not a cup, it's the energy which you change in the structure of the body, that the level changed from calcification to a normal condition. Again, part of that, the structure came through the what we call the field strength of the soul of the man, working 3-dimensional, detached from the physicality of the man. The soul of the man is a spherical shape, lives within your brain, has no physical connection to your body, but hangs in the middle and controls your life. Unfortunately, it does not have a directional rotating leg of the man to go one way or another. And the shape of the skull of the man, the shape of the brain of the man decides how it hangs through the fields, or what we call engagement of the fields of the brain of the man. Then you understand how easily, once this engagement, once the cage magnetic field strength disappears, this thing now hangs to what it was connected beyond, to the magnetic field of the universe. And at that point, this, what I call spider webs of the field of the universe, will spring it to where it'll find a balance, and where the soul of the man will manifest itself as a seed of another life, as a star connection, and a star. In a way, the soul of the man, being a spherical shape, does not work the wheel shape, is hung in the center of the brain of the man by magnetic field pressures, which nowadays you call it whatever, tokamak and the rest, you've seen how it could look, but it has two different sets of attachments of the fields to its structure. Near interaction fields, which is created by the brain, and the blood flow magnetic field, which holds it in this position. And when this weakens at the point of what you call transmutation, if you decide, or at the point of death, which the separation comes, there is no more containment, the cage breaks, the bird is free. The other strings which were connected to it in the higher field of strength, holding it and connecting it to this, what we call the rest of the universe, then they decide on which way and where this ball, this soul, this spherical shape of the energy will land and become its new home. That tulips, that onion, has no choice, because you bought this in your pocket. It's you who decides, as the external force, while it's still life living inside it, I'm going to plant it in a pot. I'm going to keep it in the freezer till next year. I'm going to put it in the garden. You make the decision about that tulip bulb, because field forces of your imagination and dimension and direction decides the life of that bulb. In the case of your life, that bulb, that spherical dimensional thing you call your soul, once is in the hand of the shopkeeper, once is in the hand of the place where it was placed and kept as a bulb, as a flower, now is decided by you. You are that outside field which decides the next step, where it will land, according to your wishes, according to what was set by your imagination to be. Now you understand. Even at that point, you have to reach the point of destination. What I call the strings of the fields of the universe provide you direction. It's the energy within the soul which you gathered decides the dimension and decides in how to get to that direction, which is, in a way, is a balance field for the rest of your life, in a dimension of the soul of the man, not the physicality of the man. Then you have to understand, step by step, in understanding the totality, you understand all those fields which still dictate in a way you're hanging on it, which gives you to the direction and dimension where to be, the next step, that's where is allocated for your soul to create a life. The next cycle of a star to create another dimension of life, still fields which come from the strength field of the Creator. So he puts the seed in the womb of the mother, nourishes the soul, and now it's time. The hand of the Creator, which the field which was created by it, from it, through it, decides where this bulb is going to be planted. Then mankind understand. Still to get there, you are a spherical shape and there are no wheels. And if I could get mankind to understand this, 99% of the problem in handling it, in understanding their own existence and the direction and the dimension shall be done. In the coming weeks, as we go into the sessions of the July, August, September, in sessions I try to create for you to see how, where, and the way your soul is hanging in the universal field dimension, and as a backup or as a hidden strings you're hanging on it, then the structure of the magnetic fields of the brain of the man. We show you new dimensions that you decide which string and where you want to go by what I call the emotion. You decide which string will take you in this direction, where at the point of death, your dimensional direction is preset. Everything is going where you, the way you behaved, how many people you killed, how many people you loved, how many people you gave energy to that you received from, dictates your position. Going to the center, to the love of the Creator, to be enlightened, way on the edges of the doldrums of the life, when there is no light, and you're there till one day the universe of our Creator has expanded, that you expand to see the better fields of the dimension of and the existence of its existence. In a way, when we transmit you, you choose the string from which part of the universe of strength you want to travel through. When you die in a physical dimension, it's already preset by your behavior, but how much you collected, what strength you brought within, that it decides you're stronger, you can stand in the dimension of the fields of the Creator, you can interact with it, or you're in the back door taking the wind. And the life of the man is nothing different by that. And one thing which is important for knowledge seekers and mankind to understand, you were hanging in the, what I call the fields of the brain of the man for 70, 80, 50 years. The question for you is how long you will hang in the new position. Or what would be the, what I call the contract of termination of the next cycle of life? Or do you become part of the bigger structure? Then you see the bigger dimension to the reality of the creation and the Creator. Those who could imagine different levels of connection have called it different things, different levels of the, what I call promotion of the soul. But in fact, those who were enlightened could see to understand the direction of the motion of the soul of the man, and how according to the strength it collects the fields it does, it finds its position. And then the question comes, what is the man fighting for? Do we fight for better clothes, bigger houses, and we do everything wrong in the dimension of physicality to get it, hidden to the others but planned in our thoughts, in our emotion? Or do we plan to live in the dimension of the larger scale where our destiny is decided by us and not at the point of death, which is we come out of our own condition? If you understood this, I bring you a trigger point. I bring to you a new state of understanding. Does man need to wait for the final call? Or now that you're knowledgeable, choose the point of transmutation, not to escape from this physical dimension, but take this physical dimension where it does no wrong, that it finds itself in a, what I call, dimension of perfection, that when that time comes, that the soul of the man will come to find new position, it finds itself amongst a higher strength, higher position, closer to the creator, that it becomes part of the creation itself. In a way, I have said many times, you always rain back to the ground. Would you be at the point where, due to choice, or what I call the final call, you become that vapor, that it goes higher and higher and away from the earth, from the creator? Or you gather enough and that allows you to go back, to rain back on and become part of the ocean of the creation in the dimension of the field of the universe? Those who choose either way will find out what they battle with and what they have to live with and how. And one thing is for fact, if you see in the atmosphere of the earth, the vapor comes from one end and it rains on the other side of the planet, there is no difference with that and the soul of the man, the soul of all created things. We came from and we go back to. We become that vapor, we go away and we rain back on. We started as a dust, became a small planet in the far distance of this solar system, and on the way back we became the earth, we created life, and we rain back in to the mother, to the sun. It's just a matter of time. And this shall be for the soul of the man. And if the man understands that it works in three-dimensional, and it's him who decides which direction and which is strength. Maybe, as I always say, open your eyes to another dimension. In the upcoming times, we show you how you are connected, you are hanging in the, what I call, the magnetic field of the brain of the man. We let you to see what is the attachment when you can decide to connect to the fields beyond the physicality of the man and find a new position. And then even after that, your life in the time of the planet Earth, 70 years or whatever, is a drop in the ocean of the time lifespan of the universe. And one thing is that, yes, everything is field connected, and you decide, or lifetime saving of the fields on this planet decides where your next position is. The question comes in a simple way. If you, and when you are positioned in the new by your own decision or by the time lapse of the last bell of the physical life and you have to leave, and you find a new position where you are hung by other fields like a puppet on the string, the question for you comes. I live 70 years man time on this planet, maybe 7,000 years in this new freedom of the position, or 7 billion years, or 70 billion years. The biggest question for you is, who's holding, who's controlling the string which I attached to hanging in that 7 billion years? Then you understand. Then at that point, there is a need for new knowledge to understand that level of the creation. In some books, it's referred to as 7 valleys. Man has not started. Man is just seated in the valley in a physical dimension of the number 1. And he has problem even with that for thousands of years to understand how the second level of the strings is holding on to. And when you get to that utter limit of the last valley, who's holding on to that? Who's the dictator? Who's the controller of that? That you're still hanging within his grasp. And then if you understand this, you can travel the full span from 1 to 7, or you can spend what I call time to mature 70 years, 70 million years, and 7 billion years, and go from one to another. Or you can gather enough, but in an instance, you reach the end, to the last point. Detachment by elevation of the fields of the universe, not attachment to the matter state of this planet. And everything we do wrong to take the last breath, just to keep the soul imprisoned, that we can physically control it. And in a way, subconsciously, we want to stay longer, that it can keep our soul imprisoned in this, what we call miserable life of this planet. This greenhouse that has become what I call the point where all the windows broken, everything shattered, and there is no greenery for the soul of the man to be in it, that it decides to break through it, so I call it the point of death. The only thing which is on the table for the man for the first time maybe is option not to, option to be able to choose to, option to create a condition that at the point of separation of physicality, be it in the physical dimension of the body of the man, in the dimension of where the strings are holding to the soul of the man, he has the choice. and not is chosen for to be. And that's all the teachings are. Transmutation of the soul of the man in the dimension of the emotion of the man, decided by the man, and not sentenced to by those who control or have control over it in any dimension and any level. If you understand it, you do not need to be imprisoned within the physical brain of the man or attachment to the others, but connect yourself to the soul of the Creator to understand the strength of the beauty of His power and be part of that process of creation. Where is your field string which holds many souls hanging in a perfection and in a dimension of creation. But this time the creation of the Creator, not creation as man on this planet. You have two choices. Up to now you had none. You waited your time, retired and sat in the bed. When the day comes, I go. This time you can decide. The physicality can be whatever I decide to take it with me. It's not that I kill, I get rid of. It's that I care for what gave me life, and I'll take it with me. That does not suffer in the dimension of physicality of the life of the man. Even though I can still exist within the dimension of physical life of the man within me. Today's understanding is understanding about yourself, that how you transmute. Up to now you didn't know, as I said many times. Now you know. Do you hang within the structure of the field of the plasma of the brain of the man? Or you, in a way, loosen the nut and go to the next step and hang and be, in a way, embedded within the fields of the universe. And if you understand this transmutation in three-dimensional essence of the totality, now is a reality and fact within the hand and the reach of the man. You have to choose. It's your option. You will stay the same as your, what they call forefathers, in the prison cage of the brain of the man until you are kicked out at the point of death. Or you decide the next step of it. I decide where the seed will grow and how it will grow, and I protect it within me. In a way, there is no difference between the life of the man, it's the soul of the man, the bulb, the life of the sun, the life of this galaxy, and the rest. It just depends where you want it to grow and how you decide it to grow. I hope your knowledge seekers understand what's on the table of the knowledge today. And I hope those of you who join us in the third week of this month will come to understand the more. Freedom does not need to become on a piece of paper for those who call themselves free man in the city of Yen some 100 years ago. For those who call themselves Americans, and today is the day of freedom and actual slavery to the another nation. Even they thought they got freed, but they walked themselves in a bigger trap as they chose the wrong way. Those of you who are American, you call it today the 4th of July. But in fact, you chose the wrong direction. Your ancestors did, by walking from one thing to another in a bigger dimension of freedom. But it, in a way, the fields of interaction created new dimension. Another is slavery of the man by another man on the title of the freedom. And I hope mankind does not make the same mistakes with its soul. And there are no treaties between the man and his creator to find freedom, but its own interaction and dimension of the field and own interaction dimension of his emotion. That in a way brings his intention to what and where and how. And if you understand this, you understand more about your life and how you need to think three-dimensional, to think I'm not attached on one string, but I'm attached on every point to every string in the universe. One is connected to the mother and one connected to another. It's me who decides I go to the mother or I go to the other. And how often I visit the mother, because up to now it wasn't my choice. My wish was to see my mother for past 20 years. I never got there because I didn't know it's me who decides by the expansion of my soul. In fact, the mother has always been there, even has not been the dimension of physicality. I hope you understand the essence and not the words of the teaching of today. And if you understood that, you have matured yourself to the next level of life in the world of the creation, and does not mean that you have to end the life in the dimension of the physicality of the man, but it gives you access to leap both dimension and understand the totality of it. When you understand the truth about yourself and the fields within, I hope you've seen the bigger picture and you understand man does not need to be a wheeler, but he can be a sphere and finds a new dimension in the world of creation.